Hey guys, Stephen Bogren here, Pro Physique. Today what I want to talk about is how often should we be changing up our workout and exercise routines. Alright guys, so happy Thursday. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. Not too much crazy going on for me, so I'll keep it short here and say things are going well. So we dropped out of the meet. That's my little update. I'm going to be in Miami for Nationals instead, and I will hopefully see some of you guys there. But on to the matter at hand. How often should we switch up our exercise routines? And so let's start by saying and explaining, what do I even mean by that? How often should you switch up your exercise selections, right? So we all know that, it can get kind of dreary and boresome if we go into the same routine every day, same exercises, same rep ranges, same weights. And so that's definitely something that we don't want to do. Now, there's a couple reasons why, but I'll tell you this. If you're a newer lifter, you can kind of get away with that. It's really not about doing anything specifically as much as doing something. If you've never exercised before, go into the gym, do the same thing all the time if you want to. It's not going to make a huge difference. Like, yes, could you have a better laid out program? Absolutely. But you're going to get better no matter what. And so I think this video really applies to lifters that are kind of in that, that middle range, right? Because the upper tier lifters, they already know. They've already done this and they get it, they understand, right? And so when you're getting towards that more advanced stage, normally we're having other people doing our programming for us, at least for strength athletes for sure. But a lot of the time it's, even if we don't, we are experienced enough to be able to auto-regulate and change things on our own. But this is really coming down to adaptations, right? So say we like to squat, or we like to deadlift, or we want to hip thrust, whatever it might be. So whatever the case is, we want to do said main movements. The reason we want to have a specific main movement is because we want to be able to progress volume, right? So study after study after study has shown us that progressing volume is a way to continue to build, grow, get stronger, get better, in whatever it might be that you're doing. So, hey, you want to get bigger and better as a physique athlete? Add more volume. You want to get stronger? Well, if you add more volume, you can have larger muscles, and that can pay off in a strength block at next cycle, and we can get stronger. Plain and simple. Very simple. Like, hey, more volume, more growth. Now, the reason that we want to stick to set exercises for blocks, like if you're a powerlifter, obviously you're going to have to squat, you're going to have to bench, you're going to have to deadlift, right? But if you're a bodybuilder, you don't ever have to squat. Like, you don't ever have to deadlift. Should you? Me, I think so. I think they're good exercises, compound movements, use the entire body. But you don't have to, right? If you're a bodybuilder, you can go leg press, you can do RDLs, you can do single leg dumbbell RDLs, you can do kettlebell RDLs, right? You can do stiff leg deadlifts, you can do a million different exercises. So why should we stick with just one? Why should we have just one flavor? Well, that's a good question. So here's, I think, the best way that I have found to explain this, right? It's an adaptation. And so just as adaptations in every other realm of life take time, right? It takes time for your metabolism to adjust when you're dieting. It takes time for your metabolism to readjust when you reverse diet, right? It takes time to adapt to a situation, right? Exercise is the same way. Muscle is the same way. So if we are continually changing the stimulus, because this is what exercise is. It is a stimulus. It is us doing something. It's putting a stress on the body to tell the body that it has to adapt, it has to change to deal with this, right? So, now that goes into a whole other mental aspect of that same mindset, but I digress. So, when we are giving our body an adaptation stimulus, right? We're giving it the stimulus to adapt. if we only give it that stimulus once every 2 months, our body's like, okay, well that sucked, but I'm not still going through it, right? So we have to continually give it that adaptation. So if we're looking at it going into a block and we want to squat 1 week and leg press another week and then split squats another week, and we don't have any kind of consistency there, one, it's a lot of different stimuluses, right? Because it's a little bit different of a stimulus from a back squat to a front squat, or even a low bar back squat to a front squat, right? Front squat's gonna still have a lot of core musculature, but it's gonna be more quad dominant. Low bar back squat's gonna be more, butt dominant, right? So we're gonna bring that in. And it's gonna have a lot more of the posterior chain involvement in it. So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So do we want to get a better posterior chain, right? Well, maybe then low bar back squat's a better option than a high bar back squat or a front squat in terms of building the musculature that we want to build. Maybe if we want to target specific muscles, a sumo deadlift is a better option than a conventional deadlift, right? And so focusing on these things for an extended period of time, and we're talking 6 to 8 weeks in most cases, if not even longer, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing the right things to give our bodies the right stimulus. This also includes lagging body parts, right? For those of us who are physique athletes, it's very easy to say, well, I need to kind of work my medial delt and my rear delt a little bit more. So I'll do a couple extra sets of, maybe I'll throw in some sets of lateral raises this week, or some face pulls this week, right? And then next week we forget them or we don't do them, and the week after that we forget them or don't do them, and then another week, right? So we're not really giving it the consistent stimulus that we want in order to facilitate that. Our body has to adapt to get better, right? So our body is all about survival. Now, whether that is resistance training, whether it's dieting, and it's the genetic components, our body wants to survive. So if we have that stress, right, that consistent stress, our body will adapt to it because it wants to survive. It wants to be better at survival. It's the same thing with fat stores, right? Our body likes to have fat stores because that is a comfortable place to be in terms of survival. We don't have to worry about starving to death. So that's why it's difficult to diet for stage, right? Our body doesn't like being that lean. So that's going to be the main thing. It's going to be a little bit shorter today, guys. I hope that's okay. But if you're looking at your training and you get bored really easy, understand that you may in fact be doing yourself a disservice by not having a more structured routine where you are staying adherent to the same exercises for a block, anytime from 4, 6, 8 weeks at a time, and then progressing through that as necessary and making changes as needed. So, till next time, guys.